Let me start here, though, because in a quadruple murder trial that honestly can end in the death penalty, nothing is simple. Nothing is cut and dry. Nothing goes exactly the way it goes in other cases either. And you might want to keep that in mind while I tell you about Brian Kohberger's latest chess move to keep him from the firing squad in Idaho, because they're building the firing squad chamber because of this case. He was back in court today in that same teeny tiny little Latah County courtroom where he's, of course, supposed to stand trial. That's the courthouse. That's the courtroom where he's supposed to go on trial for the murder of those 4 innocent University of Idaho students. If you can believe it, it's already been a year and a half. To be clear, Kohberger will stand trial unless he pleads out, right? Unless he pleads guilty at some point. But the question remains, where? Where is he going to stand trial? Because the defense does not want that little teeny tiny courthouse in that little teeny tiny county. They want that trial moved. And this is what they're claiming. And let me quote them. The jury pool in Latah County is biased. I'm going to repeat it. The jury pool in Latah County is biased. Now, how would they know that? How would the defense know that? Have they spoken to all of them? Turns out that's exactly what they were up to. They've been on a bit of a stealth campaign lately. Clever little research project, if you will. They hired a psychologist to survey the residents of Latah County. And they got their tentacles way the hell out there. 400 people were reached by that survey. 400 people in that county. Kohberger's team asked them a whole bunch of things, like whether they had read or seen or heard about the murders. Had they heard about a knife sheath? Had they heard about DNA? Had they heard about a white car? And if the survey had only stopped there, that all the business in court today actually might not have happened. But that's not where it stopped. Kohberger's team decided to ask a few more things. Like they asked about cell phone towers and about Kohberger driving around alone on the night of the murders and about media influence on police and on the courts. And then the defense actually admitted that some of the questions they asked on this survey were not even factually correct. What? Quick. Did they say the quiet part out loud? Some of the stuff they put on the survey was not factually correct. I'm going to have a longer conversation about that in a hot minute. But correct or not, potential jurors that got this, they were confused, they were alarmed. As it turns out, some of them were really pissed off. And they were so pissed off, some of them called the police. And the prosecutor promptly got a court order barring both sides from surveying anybody in the county. Stop everything. And in a fiery hearing today, the prosecutor accused the defense of violating that existing gag order and disclosing information that's not even admissible in court. Kohberger's attorney pushed back, but the judge wasn't having any of it. Take a listen.
I read the materials that were attached to the motion that the state filed, and I had very little information. But it seemed like there were some real legitimate concerns about the survey. And obviously, it turns out there are concerns, legitimate concerns about what was done in the survey.
We are dealing with the issue of these questions in the survey. They are completely inappropriate. We have a group of at least 400 people in Latah County who have been exposed to this in violation of the non-dissemination order.
I do not think that these survey questions that related to what have you heard in the media injected information to people. I understand that this is a close community, and I understand that people will call officers with concerns and the prosecutor with concerns, and that's kind of the thing that I'm worried about, is the close-knit nature of it.
We've been working very, very hard to keep the sort of noise out of the case. And now it's been injected, at least to these 400 people. without a permission of the court, without discussion with the state. I mean, that's troubles me.
Troubles me. Never what you want to hear. The death penalty case. I'm joined now by Lauren Matthias. She's the host of the Hidden True Crime podcast. She's been covering this case from day one. I didn't expect you and I were going to be here having this conversation, Lauren. The defense actually is mad that they were ordered to stop, as opposed to, you know, tail between the legs. Sorry, Chief, should have checked with you before we did it. They're mad that they're not allowed to keep going with the survey.
It's bizarre, right? And these are the people who, the defense is who wants to change the venue because they're concerned that the jury pool is biased. And here they are creating a survey and sharing something that might make the community biased where they're going to have this trial. It's so bizarre. But yes, she fought back. She said, hey, look, I'm really upset that you made me stop. This is going to prolong now our days to trial. And it was very bizarre that she was not apologetic, but Ms. Taylor simply said, look, this shouldn't have happened, and this is the way it needs to be done, and this is simply just what we do. It was very interesting to see her response to Judge.
So look, it's not as though, you know, as a defense team, you're not allowed to do your research. You are. You're allowed to check the social media accounts of potential jurors, but those are potential jurors, people who are called in. You're not allowed to sort of go out, especially in a case that's gagged, and start spewing all sorts of stuff that, you know, alleged in this hearing today was part of a non-dissemination order. So the shock that I think I had most about this was that I think the judge said that he was blindsided. There was some quote somewhere, I think, that he said, like, oh, this is a big deal. I take it very seriously. This has been conducted behind our backs. That's the part where I was just gobsmacked.
Absolutely, yeah. To not have notified the judge of this survey that was going forward, and to not notify and say, hey, by the way, we're going to conduct this survey, and people in the community are going to hear about this, let alone be so shocked, people in the community, that they call the police. And I think Judge was really right when he said, you have planted seeds. You know, no matter what this information is, you've planted seeds, and these people are going to now go online and start looking and start wondering. And to do this without notifying a judge that this is going to happen in such a small, tight-knit community is very shocking.
Yeah, my feeling on that is that typically if you want to plant seeds, you do media interviews. So, you know, maybe Ann Taylor might regret having asked for a gag order in this case, because clearly she doesn't want that gag order now. She wants to survey everybody who could end up in that jury voir dire process. So the thing that I was surprised about is that some of the questions that were put in the survey popped in some untrue info. Do we ever get, like, did anybody get a copy? Did anybody get their hands? I mean, I'll say this yet because I feel like we're going to get it. But does anybody know what's on the survey and what specifically is untrue?
I don't know if we know exactly what's untrue, but they covered, as you pointed out, DNA, where his car might have been, the knife sheath, pretty much every bit of evidence that's in the probable cause and the charging documents, it sounds like the survey mentioned. And evidence that we don't even know whether or not is going to be admissible in court, right? This is evidence that might not even be okay to have in court. What then?
Yeah. I mean, this is the simple stuff. I've been calling and begging for small answers like this, you know, for a year and a half. And I met with radio silence, and suddenly just anybody out there who lives, you know, within spitting distance of the Latah County Courthouse gets a whole report on what's going on. It is shocking. Okay, so one of the things, I'm not sure if this was the remedy that the state was seeking, but Lauren, maybe you can clear this up. It felt like the state wanted a new survey to be conducted, but it also felt like the state was asking for everything to be halted. So what am I missing? Was there some piece there that they wanted the old survey stopped and a new survey to go out and remedy the damage, or what is it?
Yeah, they kept saying, look, we're okay with the survey. You can do a survey, you can conduct your survey, but we need to know what the survey says. And they actually mentioned that these questions on this part of the survey are okay, but it was this part of the survey that isn't okay. And it wasn't really clear in court what was okay and what wasn't okay. But it is true that the state was saying it's not the survey that's the issue. It's these questions, it's this evidence that is the issue. But we want you to be able to conduct your survey, to learn any information that you need to know to make your argument that the venue needs to be changed.
Well, all that, and you didn't ask, and you didn't check with the judge in a high-profile case that's highly gagged, that is under the microscope. Might have been important just to do, Judge, y'all good on this one, and that didn't happen either. Lauren, thanks for being our eyes and ears. I always appreciate it.
Thanks, Ash.